The shutdown continues to lumber towards the longest in history under the oversight of the man who has overseen the most shutdown days in history. All because some people in Congress don't give a shit about if we have health care or not. And the shutdown is obviously killing people who are having to work without pay or depriving them of services they depend on. But something that's less talked about is it is bringing us one step closer to kicking out the last wobbly leg holding up the food systems we need to survive. But it shouldn't be that way. The foundational, fundamental system that all of civilization and definitely our entire society is built on should not be susceptible to any way the wind blows just completely crumbling. And it didn't get that way yesterday. It's been going this way for decades. See, dating back nearly half a century under the man who wasn't a cowboy but played one on TV, bad farm policy has allowed big corporate factory farms to thrive on the misfortune of family farms. Back before the early 80s, every piece of land out here where I live was a family farm, and that was that way all across the country. And instead of a monocrop culture where they would just grow corn and soy, individual farms grew a wide variety of nutritious crops and livestock. And we had communities that centered around that. You had mechanics that kept the equipment running, grain elevators, auction houses, literal farm-to-table cafes. These are in many ways self-sustaining communities that sustained not just America, but the entire world. And then they changed policy that used to protect family farms and turned it into something that killed family farms and allowed corporations to pick over their carcasses. As a result, there's only a handful of family farms left around out here anymore. And the land that used to be tended by the people who lived on it is now either raped by corporations for every last dime of profit they could get out of it, left bare. Or, I don't know if you can see it back there, but I sure as shit can see it from the back 40 here. It's turned into housing developments for people who want to live an hour away from where they work, but still have the soul-crushing scenery of a fucking suburb for some reason. Though I swear, I'm not salty from being able to see housing developments from, out here. That's why I live here, because I want to look at other people's houses. Now the family farms that do still exist out here are rarely more than one bad season away from bankruptcy. And this is made worse by the fact that the corporate farm lobby has turned subsidies into a cash cow for monoculture, which means there's no longer the market for diverse produce and livestock grown here at home. And so when bad seasons or tariffs make things like corn and soybeans worthless, family farmers don't have any other commodities to turn to weather the storm. Meanwhile, lobbyists have made sure that your tax dollar bailouts in years like this go to the biggest industrial farms, allowing family farms to go bankrupt and those big corporate farms to gain even more market share. And now the shutdown, which is a fight over whether people in these communities should even be allowed to have access to healthcare, if they should just get sick and die, has also halted many of the other services these small family farms need to survive, like reports that tell them when to buy or sell their commodities, disbursements from grants and loans, local USDA offices that provide services for these people who are already understaffed and underfunded and now aren't getting the funding or the pay that they need to stay open. You combine all that with the fact that these soybeans that were just pulled off of these fields are fucking worthless because of the tariffs, and you pile all of that on top of 50 years of bad farm policy that only benefits the billionaires, and that means that more family farms are going to go bankrupt and more billionaires are going to pillage them. And I get it, you still go to the grocery store and there's food, so why should you care? And you know what? I'm not asking you to care about family farms or small rural communities. I mean, I think you should if you're a decent fucking human, but I'm not asking you to. I'm asking you to care about yourself, because the foods that factory farms produce and the way that they produce them are killing you. Literally. The foods they are feeding you are quite often poison. The way that they are producing those foods are wreaking havoc on the environment both locally and globally, causing cancer rates to skyrocket in the communities they exist in, killing off native plants and animals that are crucial to a functioning ecosystem, and being one of the biggest contributors to climate change. And they are robbing from you, both coming and going, because these massive factory farms get billions of dollars in corporate welfare checks you pay for, and because a handful of companies control the global food industry from farm to fork, they can and do limit the options of food you have to buy, give you lower quality food, and charge you more for the food that you need to feed your family so they can give their shareholders bigger quarterly returns. And on top of that, they've designed an agricultural system in the United States that relies on us exporting grain to China and importing the food that we actually eat, which works great for them, but it does not work for you. So I'm not asking you to care about whether family farmers can put food on their table or whether or not they're going to lose the farm. I'm asking you to care about the food that you are feeding your family, how much it costs and how healthy it is. Because if you care at all about what you and your kids eat, if you care at all about how much it costs, if you care at all about the world your kids have to grow up in, then you need to care about how that food is farmed. And the only way that you can have healthy, affordable, diverse options at the grocery store available to feed your family with is if you care about helping to make sure that farming is just as affordable, diverse, healthy, and sustainable as the food you want to eat. So maybe if the president was actually worried about America first, he'd be investing in independent family farms because they don't need a bailout. They need a system that works for them rather than padding the pockets of billionaires. But since he's clearly not doing that, there's lots of things you can do, like buying from local farmers and farmers markets, reducing the amount of animal products you consume from concentrated animal feeding operations or CAFOs. Those are those big factory farms where animals are kept in cages they can't even turn around in. Pressure your officials for better farm policy that allows farmers to grow more diverse crops we can eat right here at home. Tell them to support family farms and punish corporate farms. And you can support organizations like Farm Aid that do the work to support family farms and sustainable farming. And you can go to my bio where the tree is or in the description of the video, depending on where you're watching it from, and go sign this pledge to promise to support farms over factories. And while I know this seems like an overwhelming issue you have no control over, don't fret, because this is a big problem we can solve with small bites. You don't have to become vegan or swear off processed foods or big name brands to make a difference. Just a simple change in eating habits for one meal a week. Picking one food product you can splurge a little extra on for something a tad bit more sustainable. Choosing to buy from a local butcher or farmer instead of a chain. Just doing one of those things. It may not seem like much, and I'm not calling you fat, but you eat a lot. And a bunch of people doing a tiny change to something that they do every single day has a massive effect on markets. So don't bite off more than you can chew. Just pick the one thing you can do and do it. And you'll be helping all of us get one step closer to better food, better communities, and a better planet.